Well, let's see what we got. Oh, well, there's probably a problem right there. Look at that thing crushed down on top. We don't want that. What's up, guys? My name is Andy. Not too long ago, I took my car down to the dyno to see what kind of power it was making with the new FPA long tube headers that I installed on my car. I was real happy with the results. 399 wheel horsepower is awesome for this engine. But it's a classic case of, I just want one more power, one more horsepower. Because I want an even 400 or more, right, at the wheels. So this translates to around, what, 467 to 469 horsepower at the crank. That's fantastic for this motor, this 347 stroker. I just want more power. Well, I noticed on the way to the dyno that there was just a subtle misfire, a little bit of hesitation in the engine. You're just cruising down the highway. There's just kind of just subtle, just a misfire. And you don't think much of it. You're kind of like, oh, I'll have to check it out. Well, then, you know, go through the dyno and did all that. And I was coming home and again, just that subtle misfire. I'm like, man, I wonder if there's something up with my plugs. Is I got good fuel in there. The engine's happy, but I want to check that out. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull these plugs and see if maybe there's something going on. See, we could take a look at the plugs and they'll kind of give us an indication of how the engine's running. And we'll see if maybe there was something going on there that was giving me just under 400 horsepower. So let's check it out. Now, the easiest one to check on these Ford engines is cylinder number 1 right here in the front. Let's get that guy out and take a peek at him. Well, let's see what we got. Oh, well, there's probably a problem right there. Look at that thing crushed down on top. We don't want that. Yeah, if I hold it just right, you can see some blue through the element there. So it's almost touching. That's definitely not the right gap. They say there should be 0.045 to 0.045 to 0.054 is the recommended gap for like the engine I have. And you can get away with a less gap, a smaller gap, if you've got a higher compression. I've got 10.5 to 1 compression in there, so I could get away with on the bottom range. So I'm going to set mine at 0.045. But let's see what we've got. I can't even get this thing. So this isn't even fitting inside the thing here. So we're not, I mean, the smallest setting is 0.02. So that's definitely not doing me any favors. Yeah, let's set this aside. Let's grab the other ones out and we'll take a look at them. All right, now that we got all these out, I tried to set them up here so you can kind of see through, and you can see blue in between the electrode and the tip of the spark plug here, except for this front one. So that was the only bad one. I bet you that was the one that was causing the misfire because it's so close. But if we just check, this is cylinder number 2, and we're getting right about 0.35. So it's still a little tighter than probably it needs to be. Even though I'm running a higher compression, yeah, these are, so far I wonder if I set these wrong to begin with, because I'm all sitting right around 0.35 with these. There we go, that's a little better. 0.43, 0.42, yeah, 43. As we get back, now here's number 7. Oh, this one's like 36, 37, 38 maybe. So it's, yeah, this one's tighter. This is 36. Yeah, so, okay. So we do know that cylinder number 1 was a little too close, and I bet you that was causing my problems. And I wonder, if this would have been the right gap, if all these would have been the right gap, if that would have changed my horsepower numbers. So it's kind of silly to go back down there just to re-gap these or put new plugs in and go get another run. So I'll have to wait till I do some more modifications, then I can go back and get another run. But let's take a look at my electrodes. So here, let's see what's going on here. This is number 4 and this is number 6. And look at how dry this is. Where this one, I'd say this one looks pretty normal. This one looks drier. This one's running leaner than this guy. And part of it is the color, but there's definitely, there's a history, there's a story that's being told by my engine just by my spark plugs here. But if we go back 1 cylinder to number 7, it starts to look like number 4. So I've got some lean conditions running here, and then I've got some rich conditions, like this is number 3. And this guy, I think this was the one that was gapped, or no, this was the gap the best. Not where you want to be, 43-ish or so. But, so anyway, so and then what spark plugs am I using? I'm using these Autolite AP3924s. This was recommended by my engine builder that built my 347. So I'm gonna use what he recommends because he built the engine. You know, he's the one that picked the pistons that I have and the compression ratio and everything. And so he recommends this piston or this spark plug to go with my setup. So I'm going to continue to run what he says. A lot of people have opinions about Autolite versus Bosch and other spark plug brands. And in this case, just because I don't know enough about this stuff, I'm going to stick with what my builder says. And right out of the box, yeah, we're coming in at 48, 49. So I'm going to tighten these up a little bit and get them set. I'm going to run 0.045, which would put me right about there. And that's what I want to run. So I'm going to open this up just a pinch, and then I should be good to go. So let's get those set. Now, what's the way you can do it? You can overstress this. If you bend it too many times, you'll break this tip off of here. So what I'll do is I'll touch it on the ground, and you don't have to bang it on there, but just touch it on the ground. And that will close it up a little bit. Then you can get your gauge, whether you use one of these or the feeler gauge with the little pieces that kind of fan out like this style. You can use whatever style works for you. And I'm going to get all these set up to 0.45, which this guy could probably, there we go. Now we're a little bit too tight on that one. So I'll fix that. But we'll get all these to 0.45 and then we get them back in the car. Now is probably a good time to point out, one thing I love about these headers is how they route around the spark plug holes. With this particular engine, these shock towers, my limit is actually trying to get my tools in between here and the engine. These headers are not in the way at all, and that's another thing that I love. The JBA shorties that I had before, I had to have different socket lengths with different extension pieces to get in there, and some of them had to have a swivel head on it and stuff like that just to get everything to fit, and I'm able to do everything with the same tool. So, and then also I was going to point out, all these spark plugs came in at about 0.044 out of the box, except for 2 of them, which were at about 0.046. So that's pretty good that they're all pretty much gapped the same. But now that we're set at 0.045, we should be good to go. So we're gonna get all these guys threaded back in here and get everything hooked back up. Alrighty, all the spark plugs are connected. We are back installed. You know the spark plugs, the install went good when you smack your knuckle and you scrape up your skin on something. You can tell that that's gonna be a good deal. In fact, it's kind of like they say, a good mechanic always has extra parts, right? So cool, I think we're done with this. The next step for me is to fire up and go for a drive. We got a nice day today. I think I'm gonna get a couple miles in the car. Cool, so yeah, pretty simple to change your spark plugs, and they can tell you a little bit about how your engine's running. You know, if it's running lean or running rich, and you can make some adjustments based off of what the color is or how junked up your spark plug is, or if you've got a spark plug that the tip of it is flattened down so much that it's probably not even making a spark, and that's probably what my problem was. And so I just, I wonder, if I could have eked out another horsepower or 2 of having that thing firing right. Anyways, we'll find out some other time. Cool, all right guys, I'm gonna get to it, and we'll see you in the next one.